Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. I'm Bernie Martin Beck and I get to travel history, way back in history. And today's program is no exception because as the show begins to unfold, you'll see that when I was a little kid, a very little kid, Verne was already a big kid. He and my brother were out there. What were you doing? Playing in the hop fields along the Rogue River. I've got pictures of you here. Why, you couldn't have been 5 years old, Verne. Look at that. The old house up on College Place where the cow was grazing around. What do you remember of those early days?
I just remember being there. Had some great parties. Your mother and your mother and your aunt and your dad put on, and it's had some fond memories of all of that.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Well, Verne, you know, we're here to learn about your history. You were there when I came home from the hospital. I mean, your mother knew my mother before Henry was born, right?
That's pretty good.
That's all.
That's going back.
Do I say 70 years?
Yes.
Okay. I guess I'm getting awful close to 70, but I thought maybe you were ahead of me.
Well, I'm a 36 model.
Yes, indeed. Now I'm a 38 model.
All right.
Let's talk about your family, because your family got here long, long before mine, and you've brought documents to prove it, right?
Well, I where should we begin, Bernie?
This is one of my favorite documents.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
Grandma and Grandpa, I hope you'll write your kids a article like this. Who is this guy?
Well, maybe to start with, I have been told that I'm about a fourth generation Oregonian on both sides. That means mom's side, dad's side.
Okay.
And so that really goes back. This goes back to the Civil War days. And it was because, I will say this, because of the Civil War, that both sides of the family came west.
From where?
Kentucky, Missouri, in that area.
And they said there's a better life out there west.
And the Civil War helped them make that decision. And in the case of, on my father's side, which my great-great-grandfather, I guess, Benjamin Hyland. He came west because in those days he was helping deliver the slaves from the South, taking them into Canada, and then going back and redoing this. Did this a few times.
Now, this is a freedom train?
This is like, you've heard of such events.
A freedom train, you bet. They were taking the slaves out of slavery.
Taking slaves out of slavery.
Woo!
And they got hot on his tail, if I can say that, on Benjamin Hyland. And so the decision was made that he better leave. So he brought his family, 10 children, made it to Oregon, came by, of course, I guess, wagon train. And eventually they settled in the place called Lowell, Oregon. Have you ever heard of that? Lowell, Oregon.
Okay.
That's just out of Eugene a little ways, just a little bit
You've checked this out.
Been there, and there's a cemetery there that just have Highlands buried there. They call it the Highland Cemetery.
Oh.
And
okay. That's an Hyland.
That's right. And it has, and there's a lot of Highlands that are buried there, and it has a little bit of history, you know how they do these old
gravestones have history.
Gravestones.
You bet.
And he, even when he came with his family, children, wife, he even brought out 2 or 3 black families. And it was just, my brother made a visit there in Lowell about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And there actually was an old black lady that lived in what they called the Hyland House. And he got to meet her, and she shared some of this history. So that's kind of interesting. So anyway.
So they were freedom, he was a freedom person who was about to get
Caught, right.
Okay, and so then he said, well, come on, we'll go
going west. We're going to Oregon.
Oh.
And so they made it.
While I was in Battle Creek, Michigan, I went to one of those houses near my cousin where they would stay until they could get to Canada.
All right.
So it was called a Freedom House, and they take these. Oh, tell me more about.
Well, that's right. I'm listening.
This is the Highlands.
This is, and I thought about that. There's a lady that's buried there in Battle Creek, or anyway, she lived there. Some history about, and she helped this same kind of.
Absolutely, I
activity.
was there. I remember it well. So then, Highlands get together out west, or where did the Christies come in?
Well, then, of course, because my mother was a Christie. And she...
What's her pedigree?
And on her side, and I should say on my mother's side, is also then to be about 4 generations of Oregonians.
Oregon-born. Now,
yes.
Is one of these her...
Okay, this would be okay, this lady here, that lady would be my mother's mother.
Okay.
Does that fit?
That's perfect. And
all right.
this man
that
is
would
her
be
husband, obviously.
That's
they're
right.
sitting there like they're good friends.
And he was killed by a train wreck, even before my mother's mother was born.
Oh, so we can assume that she's pregnant here, or they're having this.
And she never, of course, he never
got to see her.
He never saw his daughter.
And were there other children in the family?
There was another. There were. Oh my! I guess there were 5. I think there were five sisters.
Oh.
I'd be my grandmother's side.
So then what happens? She remarries?
And then she remarried to a man called White, and then their family was started.
And is the White, now Mr. and Mrs. White, do they have the daughter who was here in Grants Pass that is a walker?
All right, that's correct.
Aunt what?
That'd be Aunt Carrie.
Aunt Carrie, oh my, what I know about. Dr. Walker was a dentist who worked on my teeth, and in 1940 something, and he had one of those kind of dental things.
Okay.
And you could watch the fuzz go around. Oh.
Like it happened yesterday, huh?
Like it happened yesterday. And he always gave us a little bit of the amalgam to play with in our hands, which I guess is poison now. We just don't. Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that was, I forgot to ask you who these people are.
Okay, this, with that picture, that's just a good picture, a good family picture. This would be, again, this would be on my mother's side, and
so you showed me.
No, I said I didn't mean that didn't come out right. It'd be my mother's side, and the fact that she married. I got to start this over again now. This is the father of my mother's father. In other words, there's my mom's dad right here.
And this is, what's his name?
And that's Sam Christi.
And what's this guy's name then?
And this is Johnson Christi, and then these are his children. This is Frank Christi. This is Granddad, or Sam Christi. This is the lady we used to call Aunt Nan. pretty lady, never got married.
Mm.
He was very protective. The father was very protective of his daughter, but she's very pretty. And then this is their another son, Johnny Christi, and this is let's see now.
Well, I know so much about
This lady is Johnson's wife, and that's Porter Christi. And this is her mother. Now these folk here are all buried here at Granite Hill Cemetery.
And
And they came out, and this Johnson Christi, he came out, well, he was encouraged, as we sort of been told, he was encouraged by his family to leave Kentucky probably, I don't know, Kentucky, Missouri, anyway, to leave that area because, again, of the Civil War.
sure.
So he left at the age of 18. He got a job freighting,
Okay.
and it's
That
kind of
he-
interesting.
And is this the article you have about him? He wrote it himself?
Yes, he did. Let's see here.
Well, why don't you read a little of that?
All
Because
right.
that is so, this is great Grandpa Johnson Christi, who lived out on Lower River Road, right?
Yes,
He had
and other places too, but that's where
out
that's
in
kind of
the
where he ended up
farmer.
farming.
Okay, what did he farm?
Well,
it's in
he's-
here.
Yeah, this is written by him, and he said, "I came to Josephine County 17 years ago, and settled on a farm 5 miles down the river. We'd probably call that the Lower River Road today, and this would be 1885.
Okay.
Now he was born, I believe, in
Well, if he's
16.
17, so we can do that math.
he
Now,
he was born.
This is wonderful. I
you-
wish every family had one of these written by great grandpa. What's it tell you about these early times?
Well, you want me to try to read this?
Sure,
This is-
sure. Give me a thumbnail sketch
All
of it.
right. Well, it says here, I came to Josephine County in 1885 and settled down river 5 miles, raised melons, berries, fruit, vegetables, ran a delivery, could sell to every family in town at that time. And he mentions H.B. Miller and Company had a store where the Josephine Bank is now, that's history, gone. J.W. Howard had a store on the Howard corner. Then he goes on to say, and he's describing Grants Pass. This is Grants Pass. He says, no brick buildings at that time, no banks, no churches, no hotels, and one little school building. Most of the residents were scattered through the brush. I thought that's interesting. And then he goes on, he says, the streets are muddy. There was no autos, no bicycles. Cows and hogs were in the streets. Very few people in the country, and today in the country and town that were here 50 years ago, except the children that have grown up here since H.B. Miller, Dr. Van Dyke. Now, I don't know if your viewing audience, anybody recognize any of these names, but these were the founders of Grants Pass. H.B. Miller, Dr. Van Dyke, Dr. Flanagan, H.C. Kinney, Mr. Dodge, and some others that helped to make Grants Pass have all passed on. Most of the farmers are gone. High water, and this is a big flood in 1889 and 1890, washed all the bridges out on the country and all the fences of the bottomlands. Now about
that's
myself, he says, and he goes on here. He says,
Bottomland's out by
be
where
the-
you live,
I
out your
would
place
probably along the river. It's good farming, out that way.
on. Yeah.
And he says in 1864, this is interesting. In 1864, I drove a freight team for Ben Holiday. Sounds like a TV series here, doesn't it? In 1864, I drove a freight team for Ben Holiday hauling corn for the stage horses of the Platte River. Then a year later, in 1865, I drove a team across the plains to Oregon, and here I am. And okay, let me read the next paragraph. It says, we stopped at Walla Walla, lived there a year, then came on to Lynn County, Oregon, where I married Elizabeth Porter. Now, when they arrived at Walla Walla, now he was about 18, and when his wagon team, whatever, what do they call it, wagon train, when they arrived at Walla Walla, they had just got there shortly after the Whitman massacre.
Ah.
And he got in on he saw the results of that.
Oh my.
And
scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
This is amazing. After spending about 17 years there, we came to Southern Oregon. The railroad was being built then. We lived a while at Ashland, where we saw the first train that came in there over the Southern Pacific. After 2 or 3 years there, we came to Grants Pass, and we've been here ever since. And that started, and it started back in the Civil War days, and they came to Grants Pass.
This is...
Now, along with that, I think it'd be good. Now, he married this lady. Do you have time to hear this?
Okay.
All right. Now, this lady, and this is Mrs. Porter.
All right.
Wherever that picture is.
Okay. Now, continue.
All right. Now, she talks about her trip. That's before he knew
Mrs. Porter.
Mrs. Porter, before she became Mrs. Christi. Again, now she begins, she says, now this is her, she's writing about her trip.
Okay, Mrs. Porter.
No, it's the other picture. Where is that?
Okay.
This right here. Okay, this is.
Okay.
The person I'm reading now is the one, she wrote what I'm going to be reading.
What a gorgeous dress Mrs. Porter has.
Now,
okay.
Listen to what she says here. She says, during the Civil War, we decided to come to Oregon. Quite a decision.
Oh, during the Civil War.
Through the war, we decided to come to Oregon. On the first day of April, 1865, our family and 2 covered wagons, in other words, everything they had was in 2 covered wagons, and 4 of our neighbor families in covered wagons said goodbye to our old home and started for Oregon. We came over into Nebraska and camped. Where the train was made up, there were 100 covered wagons.
Oh, man.
They made up 100 covered wagons in the train. I could tell many things of the journey, of Indians on the warpath, of graves left beside the road, and some amusing things as well. West of the Rocky Mountains, a train divided, part of them going to California and others to different places. Our wagons, which was 2, and 1 other, came to eastern Oregon. We landed near Walla Walla, and then which was a small town. My father homesteaded a tract of land, and then he decided to come to the Willamette Valley, where he died. The railroad extended only to Roseburg. Roseburg. I, with my husband and children, I can't read this right. The railroad extended only to Roseburg when I, with my husband and children, came to Southern Oregon. See, she got married. They married Johnson, Christi, and this lady married in Oregon after they both arrived here.
Sure.
She came as a young lady, and he came as a young man. And
yeah.
So, and then they married somewhere up north here. We stopped first at Ashland, where we lived a while, then back to the vicinity of Grants Pass, where I have lived ever since. And like I say, she's buried up here at Granite Hill.
Oh, what a story, Verne. What an
so there's quite a bit of history.
You have a picture over here in a book of your mother. Audrey Hyland was my mother's dear friend, and she had this little boy, second of her children, Buddo, as we called him, because Verne called him Buddo. He has a real name, though, Harold Jr.
All right.
He married this beautiful, the wedding. It was in the home on 4th Street, and
Were you there at that time?
I was there. Sailor boy marries... Tell me her maiden name.
Shelton.
Oh, her dad was a cop here in town. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. Oh, just enjoyed it so much.
And your father just about undid them in the big wedding chase.
Oh,
if you remember
no,
that.
No, but I'm sure it was true. They used to do all kinds of silliness. Now, Verne, you and I somehow from Granddad Johnson, farming became, he bought out a farm. Did he buy out the farm of hops on out?
As I understand, it was actually my grandfather, which would be the son of Johnson Christi,
Okay.
my mother's dad, and he brought hops.
Now,
He's the one that introduced hops to the valley here.
Now, are you saying Grandpa Sam or his
Now,
dad?
I kind of wonder, you think we ought to be drinking this because you're talking about hops and now you're starting to serve something. I'm really concerned here, Bernie.
Your mother told me that that Grandma Christi used to say hop tea was really, really good for you. And she was pretty proud of it, so I brewed up a little hop tea.
Now,
It's nothing but the hop berries that you see hanging here. Hop baskets are like this. We even have a picture of you brought of your aunt
All
and
right.
my aunt.
And your brother.
This is,
Can they see that?
yep,
All right.
this is Viola Christi, Ruth Westfall, and Henry Martin.
Henry Martin, and then,
Right by a hop basket.
and again, that's down the Lower River Road, you see. This is where,
And we're not dressed for hop picking.
no.
It's a photo op. You've got some wonderful pictures of other hop seasons. It was the gold mine here in the valley.
Yes.
During the war, when Germany was not growing hops and we had no farm labor, you remember?
And so there's a picture. Do you have that there of those Greyhound buses?
Right?
Yeah.
And they brought in,
And this is what, in 45 or in that time, shortly after the war. There would be, I know at hot picking time, I can remember there'd be, these Greyhound buses would bring in 350 Mexicans to help harvest the crop.
called braceros. Oh, what a time. Verne, we got to skip to your family. This man is,
That's my brother, Harold.
and this guy,
That's his brother, Verne.
oh,
Okay.
Verne. And we're sipping a little hop tea. It's just what Grandma Christi, what's her name?
Isa.
She said hops are really good for you. So she'd take the hop berry and put it in hot water. And she thought that was just it. But quickly,
And that's what this is here.
hop tea.
And it is good.
Now, medicinal purposes. This is Verne and Patty. We got to go when they left for mission service. That was so exciting. We came and little Stephen,
Down there at the Bay Area.
yes, Oakland, shipping
Oh,
out for
yes.
where?
Oh
Ceylon.
my, that was Sri Lanka or Ceylon then in those days.
And here's that little boy now.
Yeah, okay.
He's serving as a physician where?
Germany.
In Germany. Oh my, Stephen has grown and we're pretty proud of him. I'm pretty proud of him. Verne, we ran out of time, but do you have a favorite picture, a favorite story?
Oh
Well,
my.
here's your Auntie Vi. Oh, the dear saint. There's the house.
Well, all right. That's here in North 7th Street.
That's the Christie
That was built by Johnson, yes.
in 19 and 18 and what? We don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it still there?
I doubt it, but I don't know.
Verne, you've got a book here, 100 Years of our church. That's what
That's
it
right.
looked like.
On E Street.
little church. I think it was only about half this size when this picture was taken. Is your mom here?
She was there. This was taken in 1911. They call it what do they call it? The 13th Sabbath program.
There
And
she is.
There, that's where you're pointing.
And who's this?
And then that's her mother. Point that out again there with a hat on.
Oh my
right.
goodness. Well, thanks for bringing that one. Well, thank you. Oh, Verne, I invite
right.
you back. We ran out of time.
Thank you. I've enjoyed the visit.
Just a few pictures of the picnics and things that he and our family went on. Every birthday party, Verne was there, I think. I'm Bernie saying bye for now and happy birthday to all of us.
Yeah, okay.
Sometime during the 365, right?
Right.
Again, thank you, Verne.
You're welcome.